Okay, let's get into it. We're doing a deep dive today into, well, a really fascinating and, frankly, pretty unusual historical account. It's from 1 Samuel chapter 6.
Right, and the scene is set right at the beginning. The Ark of the Lord, the Israelites' most sacred object, it's actually been captured.
Captured, yeah. And it's been sitting in Philistine territory for, what, 7 months?
A long time.
7 long months. And let's just say those months weren't exactly smooth sailing for the Philistines. The chapter implies they'd been having some serious problems because of the ark.
Serious enough that they were basically thinking, we need to get rid of this thing now.
Exactly. But how? It wasn't like they could just toss it out, so what do?
They call in the experts, their own priests and diviners, kind of like asking your tech support how to handle the other team's superweapon.
Yeah, something like that. They ask, okay, what do we do with the God of Israel's ark? How do we send it back?
And the advice they get is very, very specific. No half measures here. Absolutely not. The priests and diviners were clear. Do not send it away empty. You've got to include what they call a guilt offering.
A guilt offering. So acknowledging they messed up by taking it.
Seems like it. It shows they understood on some level that they'd offended Israel's God and needed to make amends.
And the offering itself is, well, it's memorable. Gold tumors and gold rats.
Yep. 5 gold tumors and 5 gold rats. And the text connects these directly to their problems.
5 of each. Why 5?
It matches the number of Philistine rulers, the lords of their 5 big cities, Ashdod, Gaza, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. The logic seems to be that the plague, whatever it was, hit everyone, the rulers and the common people, the whole land.
So they're literally making gold models of the things causing the suffering, the tumors and the rats.
Precisely. The tumors likely represent some kind of physical affliction, maybe boils or swellings associated with plague. And the rats, well, rats often meant pestilence, maybe destroying crops or spreading disease. It's a direct symbolic representation of their misery.
Wow. Like saying, here, take these symptoms back, please, in gold.
Pretty much. It's an attempt to appease this powerful deity, give honor to Israel's God, make these symbolic models, and hope, as the priest said, that maybe God would lighten his hand off them, their own gods, and their land.
The priests didn't stop there, did they? They pulled out a history lesson.
They did, a really relevant one, too. They reminded the rulers about the Egyptians and Pharaoh. Remember how Pharaoh hardened his heart, refused to let the Israelites go?
Right, and things got progressively worse for Egypt. The plagues.
Exactly. The priests are saying, don't be like Pharaoh, don't be stubborn. Look what happened to them before they finally gave in and sent the Israelites away. It's a clear warning. Cooperate or expect more trouble.
Okay, so they have the plan. Send the ark back with this very specific gold offering. But there's still a question, isn't there? How do they know for sure it's the God of Israel causing this? Maybe it's just really bad luck.
That was the million-dollar question for them. Was this divine punishment or just, a coincidence? A terrible run of misfortune. And their solution is actually quite ingenious. They set up a test.
A test designed to rule out any other explanation.
Exactly. To remove animal instinct or human intervention from the equation, the plan was detailed. First, get a brand new cart, never used before, purely for this task.
Okay, new cart. What else?
Then, the key element, 2 cows. But not just any cows. They had to be cows that had recently given birth, so mother cows. And this is crucial: cows that had never been yoked, never pulled a cart before, untrained.
Untrained mother cows. And what about their calves?
Yes. They were to take the calves away from the cows and keep them penned up back home.
Oh, wow. So the cow's strongest instinct would be to go straight back to their calves.
Precisely. That powerful maternal instinct is the core of the test. Go against that instinct, and it means something else is directing them.
Okay, so you've got the new cart, the untrained mother cows missing their calves. What goes on the cart?
The Ark of the Lord, obviously. And next to it, in a chest or box, they put the guilt offering, those 5 gold tumors and 5 gold rats.
And then just let them go.
Basically, yeah, send them off, but watch them. Watch very, very closely. The destination they were watching for was Beth Shemesh. The text points out this is Israelite territory.
So here's the test. If these untrained cows, desperate to get back to their calves, ignore that instinct and instead walk straight down the road towards Beth Shemesh, an Israelite town,
then the Philistines would know. It wouldn't be chance. It would confirm that the Lord, the God of Israel, was the source of their troubles.
And if they wandered off, went back towards the calves,
I just milled around.
then they'd conclude it was just chance, a terrible coincidence, but not divine intervention related to the ark.
That is quite a test. Very clever, actually, using natural instinct as the control variable.
It really is. So they set it up, new cart, hitched the cows, took the cobs away, put the ark and the gold offering on board, and sent them off.
And what happened? Did it work? The text describes it vividly. It says the cows went straight toward Beth Shemesh. They didn't deviate. They stayed right on the road.
Wow.
And get this, they were lowing the whole way, crying out, presumably for their calves, showing that distress. But they didn't turn back. They didn't turn right or left, just straight ahead.
Incredible, overriding their most basic instinct.
Absolutely. It was the exact sign the Philistines had looked for, and those 5 Philistine rulers, they didn't just send it off and wait for news.
They followed it.
They followed the cart, watching the whole thing, all the way to the border of Beth Shemesh. They saw the outcome of their test with their own eyes.
Meanwhile, in Beth Shemesh, life is just going on.
Seems so. The people there are out in the valley harvesting wheat, just a normal harvest day.
Until they look up and see.
Imagine this strange cart, these 2 lowing cows they don't recognize, and on the cart, the ark, their holy ark, returning seemingly on its own from enemy territory. The text says they rejoiced when they saw it, a huge moment of relief and celebration.
Where did the cart actually stop?
It went into the field of a man named Joshua of Beth Shemesh, and it stopped right there beside a large rock. That rock becomes important.
Okay, the ark is back on Israelite soil. The people are celebrating. What's the first thing they do?
They act immediately. The cart that brought the ark, it had served its divine purpose, so they chopped up the wood of the cart
For firewood.
for the sacrifice. And the cows, the very cows that performed this miracle journey, they sacrificed them as a burnt offering to the Lord.
Using the instruments of the return for the worship. Makes sense. What about the ark and the gold things?
The Levites, the tribe designated to handle holy objects, they carefully took down the ark and the chest with the gold tumors and rats, and they placed them on that large rock in Joshua's field.
So the rock served as a temporary altar or platform.
Seems that way.
Yeah.
And the people of Beth Shemesh joined in, offering more burnt offerings and sacrifices that day. It was a big religious event, obviously.
And the Philistine lords saw all this.
They saw the arrival, the rejoicing, the sacrifices. Their test was conclusive. The ark was received. Their part was done. They turned around and headed back to Ekron.
The text then makes a point of listing the offerings again, doesn't it?
It does. It specifies the 5 gold tumors for the 5 cities: Ashdod, Gaza, Ashkelon, Gath, Ekron. And the gold rats represented all the Philistine towns belonging to those 5 lords, both the main fortified cities and the smaller villages. It underscores how widespread the plague was, and maybe how comprehensive the offering needed to be. And it mentions the rock again, the great stone, standing there as a witness.
So everything seems resolved. The ark is back. The Philistines are satisfied. Their test worked. The Israelites are worshiping.
But then the mood shifts dramatically.
Yeah.
From celebration to sudden, shocking tragedy.
What happens?
The text says that the Lord struck down some of the men of Beth Shemesh. Right there, right then.
How many?
It gives the number 70 men. Which, in a likely small community like Beth Shemesh, would have been a massive, devastating blow.
Why? Why would God do that right after the joyful return?
The reason given is stark and direct. Because they had looked into the ark of the Lord.
Looked into it, not just at it.
The phrasing suggests looking into or perhaps handling it improperly, maybe trying to peer inside. This goes back to the very strict rules in Israelite law about the ark. It represented God's holy presence.
And there were rules about who could touch it, how it was carried.
Extremely strict rules. Only specific Levites could carry it, and even they couldn't look directly at it uncovered. It wasn't meant to be treated like an ordinary object or peered into out of curiosity. Doing so was seen as a profound violation of its sacredness, trespassing on divine holiness.
So it wasn't just curiosity, it was breaking a fundamental rule about encountering God's presence.
Exactly. The Philistines, being outsiders, faced consequences like plagues, but maybe weren't held to the same standard of ritual purity. But the Israelites, who had the law, were expected to show extreme reverence. This event is a harsh reminder that God's holiness, while desirable, was also dangerous if approached improperly.
It's such a jarring turn. Joy one minute, death the next, because a boundary was crossed.
It really underscores that paradox. The sacred is powerful and potentially life-giving, but demands respect and adherence to specific protocols. Treat it casually or violate its holiness, and the consequences could be dire.
How did the survivors in Beth Shemesh react to this? Besides mourning, obviously.
Their reaction speaks volumes. They were terrified. They asked this crucial question: who can stand in the presence of the Lord, this holy God? The joy of the ark's return is completely overshadowed by the fear of its power. They realize they can't handle it.
They don't feel safe with it anymore. So what's their solution?
Pass it on. They send messengers to the people in a nearby town, Kiriath Jearim.
And the message is basically,
The Philistines sent the ark back. You guys need to come get it. Come down and take it up to your place, essentially. We can't cope with this level of holiness. Maybe you can.
wow. So the Ark's journey in this chapter is just incredible. From Philistine burden through that amazing cow test, back to Israel, greeted with joy, then immediate tragedy, and now it's being moved on again because it's perceived as too dangerous.
It's a whirlwind. You see the Philistines trying to manage divine power through tests and offerings, and then the Israelites experiencing its raw, dangerous holiness directly. The contrast is stark.
It really makes you think about what it means for something to be sacred, doesn't it? And the different ways people react to that power calculation versus awe, reverence versus, well, fatal curiosity.
Absolutely. And it leaves us with that heavy question from the people of Beth Shemesh, a question that resonates far beyond this one story.
Who can stand in the presence of the Lord, this holy God? Something to really reflect on.